Hello team and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today, a 1v1 from the T2 2023 tournament from Line War. 2 players, Animorph in blue and EnerGyZ in red. Animorph's going to spawn on the left-hand side. Not really sure where EnerGyZ is going right now. Could be to the north, but more likely, I think, probably in one of these 2 locations. In more central part of the map, and EnerGyZ does spawn in the bottom, building a town immediately. So Animorph to the left. EnerGyZ will see that Animorph is here and vice versa, so both players know where the starting location is of the other. There's a possibility that Animorph will also build a town, and there it is. And then a factory and 2 barracks as a follow-up from Animorph 3, or EnerGyZ. I keep messing up these names. EnerGyZ with the 3 barracks now. And adding a 4th. So for EnerGyZ, they're going to have kind of first dibs on the right-hand side of the map and this central location. Just by the spawn spots. But it's going to be very difficult for EnerGyZ to push through this location if they try to do this. Because Animorph's got a great defensive location. Not just this first defensive line, but could also fall back more into the mountain range. And then the red units are going to move super slowly through these mountains. So very strong choke point for blue. With 2 barracks behind this, a factory, and then an airport and another barracks on the way. This airport, my guess would be helicopters. Could be strikers. We might even see a commando drop that could go up to the north, but I feel like that's unlikely. This is the range. This red line of where the commandos could go. But both players actually got 4 barracks at this point. Infantry got that buff in the latest patch. Seems like a popular choice. So did the entrenchment lines. And second factory for EnerGyZ, who does have a SAM on the way. Which is a very good call. Since Animorph does have that airport, if we look at EnerGyZ's vision, they don't know that this blue airport exists, of course. And it is going to be helicopters. As the first aircraft that is being built. Animorph also has some SAMs on the way. Going immediately for SAM production, not even going for any artillery. Blue probably feels that this defensive line is enough. And EnerGyZ can't see that there's a dig in there. And blue will be able to get a decent idea if there was a large red force that started to build up here in anticipation of pushing through that entrenchment. And top down, this is what we got. That's a farm that we hear. Animorph building that on the left-hand side. Eco-wise, 405 for blue and 425 for red. There's a chance that if EnerGyZ can get situated kind of in this mountain range and forest and box Animorph into the left-hand side, that red will be in a very good situation. Because that would force the only easy expansion for blue to have is to the north. While red caps the rest of the map off of these 2 barracks that are really only back capping for red, which is good for their economy. The first helicopter for blue is done, second one on the way. And blue also has a very convenient refinery location. EnerGyZ is also going to dig in, so we probably expect that this is going to be... I was going to say a stalemate, but now that there's 1 factory and 2 barracks that are going to start pushing here, Animorph's going to try to go around the back. Which you've seen players use that to great effect. Defensive lines, if you're behind them, the units don't get any sort of buff. And recently in the patch it was changed so that the units don't have to get fully behind the defensive line, just 120 degrees behind it. And so only 1 infantry probably getting the bonus. I don't think this one is actually, when it's shooting this red infantry, this infantry probably gets all the defensive bonuses still. So good start in this fight for red, but they're going to have to reinforce this defensive line because of the 3 production buildings that Animorph does have. So first helicopter's getting in on the action. The one SAM isn't quite close enough, and if it has to traverse through the mountain range and forest, it's going to take a while for that unit to get over to the helicopters. Third helicopter on the way, pardon me, for blue. And EnerGyZ is going to back up a little bit more and build their first airport. Animorph senses that this would be a tough fight to take and is going to back up and probably pool up some units, or potentially just go around this defensive line in general. And Eco's 517 for blue, 525 for red. So essentially even at the moment. There's one SAM, the gold that we see, that is the unit repairing itself. It's on a haste move, so when a SAM hastes, it loses some of its HP and then regenerates that over time. We might see Animorph build a barracks up to the north to help cap more quickly, or a production facility like closer to the front lines for more of a push. And there's also a chance that blue will just elect to build some industry. And blue's been able to jump on this defensive line before any of the units are really able to get in here and get entrenched. And good play from both Animorph to send the helicopters down to the bottom, and for EnerGyZ to start sending, well, at least just one of the SAMs over here. Red is going to have to build more SAMs as time goes on, because this helicopter count for blue will get very intense pretty quickly. The next natural location for dropping back for EnerGyZ is probably around here, even potentially giving up this barracks and just digging in front of this refinery. Because this is starting to look like a very scary blue army. And the plan for Animorph was to go around this defensive line. And that's why we see all these infantry. Of course, blue now knows that red disbanded this defensive position. Dock for EnerGyZ. With the infantry kind of standing close to it, very likely that this is going to be a transport boat that sends red units up to the northern part of the map. A very wise decision in the long run for EnerGyZ, as long as they don't actually lose the game right here off of this push from blue. Because there's a large chance that Animorph is just going to be able to push here, destroy one of the barracks, another one of the factories, and there's really not that much at home to defend. Thankfully for EnerGyZ, they have a striker now. Likely going to see the striker get sent to the bottom, and that's exactly what we see, this dot command of strikers. There's no SAMs or interceptors for blue, so the striker will just be able to get pure value. It just depends on whether the striker is able to whittle down these blue units enough and buy enough time for red to mount more of a defense. And 2 more industries for Animorph after building that factory. The good thing for red is that now both these back barracks are also pushing towards this location to reinforce, and there's enough red infantry here that they'll still be able to cap pretty quickly to the right hand side. First transport boat is now complete. And EnerGyZ kind of digging in under duress. Animorph is deciding to go for this. Is probably calculating that these units haven't had enough time to gain back their health after being fatigued from digging in. So blue is going to try to opportunistically jump on those entrenchments, and actually has got through in the bottom. I think it's just kind of up to Animorph if the blue units are going to stay here and try to clear out everything, or just push towards this barracks and not even pay attention to any of the entrenched units. Animorph has 1 SAM going down to the bottom. There are 2 strikers done. Third one is on the way for red. And EnerGyZ is going across to the north. 681 income for blue, 625 for EnerGyZ, who is running out of energy. We'll have to build this refinery likely. Very unlikely that red's going to build this one. I feel like that one's just... it's under too much pressure at the moment. But so far, EnerGyZ is hanging on. These strikers running out of energy is very unfortunate for red. Because I think that was one of the main things that was keeping this blue force from overrunning this one factory. Might not matter as much anymore. There's one SAM here, a second one's on the way. 2 strikers against 1 SAM. If the 2 strikers attack the SAM together, I believe they're able to take that on. 2 SAMs makes it a little bit more tricky. And Animorph has won this fight in the center, which is putting EnerGyZ in a little bit of an awkward situation. They're dug in the north, and these blue units are going to crash into that entrenchment, which is good for EnerGyZ. The south is looking a little bit more risky. And the other problem about running out of energy is that EnerGyZ isn't actually able to get across and start capping the north. It's now 5 helicopters complete for Animorph. A 6th one on the way. And so far these units are holding up for red. Of course the artillery is out of range of the red units, so it just will shell this position all day, but this many infantry are able to withstand one artillery piece shelling them for quite some time. Partly because of that buff to entrenchments, that armor bonus that the units have, and this is also in a mountain range, I believe. So the helicopters make this impossible to hold for EnerGyZ, which is very bad news. And also it's a very difficult fight that EnerGyZ is going to have to take here, with all this leftover infantry that cleared out those defensive lines earlier. Economy 675 for red, 829 for blue. Likely these 5 industries being the difference, seeing as both players have that one town, and it's relatively even on how many territories both players have capped. So the blue helicopters are going to target this factory. They might run into these SAMs. The SAMs will likely be close enough to at least take out one of the helicopters. And it is. The units do get a range bonus in the entrenchment, so I think this is the only reason that this SAM is able to hit this one helicopter. But quantity-wise, there's just enough blue helicopters taking out this factory shortly after the southern one falls. And maybe if there's more of a presence and EnerGyZ was able to defend this entrenchment, that red would be potentially okay, but I think this is the beginning of the end. The helicopters are going to be able to destroy this airport. They're going to eat a lot of SAM missiles on the way into this. But there will be at least 4 helicopters that are able to hover over this thing. And that is enough. And unfortunately for red, these aren't helicopters, so they're strikers. They're sitting on the airport, and when the airport explodes, so do these 3 planes. And Animorph feels very confident building these 2 towns, calculating that these pushes are all going well enough that they can just continue to get further ahead by building more eco. No barracks in the north for blue, but more farms. And very quickly, blue's going to be over 1,000 eco at 933 at the moment to red's 675. And second refinery for blue as well to keep these helicopters going. The SAMs in the defensive line have done alright for red. And this fight was sort of stabilizing. The extra barracks is going to make it a little bit more difficult for red to hold on. and these 2 factories and 1 barracks were probably the right idea, just a tad bit too late. It's not like EnerGyZ had any other option. Just unfortunate timing, because Animorph is showing up with the perfect amount of units, including some helicopter to support, and that is game. Well played both. Another wonderful tournament match. And props to all the players for entering the tournament, playing the games. GG. Hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Good luck, all the folks continuing, going on to, I think the group stage at the time of recording this is nearly complete. All the games are played, but everyone who, like, everybody gets through to the next round anyway. No matter how you did in groups, I believe it's just the bottom 2 go to the lower bracket and the top 2 go to the upper bracket, I think is how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong, but GG. Enjoy, folks. See you around. Peace.